the ways in which we connect objects will create substances the ways by which we develop.
Who is Viktor Hacker?
You mean as a researcher or as a university professor? Who is Viktor Hacker?
Oh,
Everything. Oh, yeah. I started to research in the field of hydrogen and fuel cells because I believe that these are technologies which are clean, efficient, and which really are, let's say, the next step away from the heat engine to a cleaner energy conversion technology. And this is now more than 25 years ago. And at that time, it was quite an unknown technology, I would say, here in Europe. Hydrogen and fuel cell, I started studying in Japan, in the field of fuels and hydrogen. And yeah, and so it progressed slowly. And also more and more companies got interested, and then companies, especially OEMs, car manufacturer, got interested. And this changed a lot because they invested a lot of money. They had quite an impact on the public opinion. And so people got interested. And now we are there that every day we have almost some news in the general newspaper about hydrogen, about new cars, about batteries, of course, and about fuel cells.
your thoughts on hydrogen hype?
Yeah, this happens in any technology. I mean, there is a hype now. It doesn't work without it.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. I mean, I don't want to say it's good or bad. I mean, it is happening because people get interested. Oh, there's something interest. Then you have to announce that's really interesting, and then more people get interested. Then you have to promise. You have to promise goals which might not be feasible at the end, because otherwise, no funding, no interest.
What are some of the key milestones and breakthroughs you made in your research?
We always, I mean, just now, I would say what we are working just now is that we develop new technologies for fuel cell manufacturing. That means we are having a patent on a kind of electrode manufacturing where we think we can reach higher lifetimes, higher efficiencies, and so on. And on the second pillar, I would say at the moment, which is also just now maybe getting being published, is that we investigate new energy carriers. I mean, hydrogen is an essential energy carrier, but it will not be the only one. And we investigate a lot of others, and one strange one, which we developed for quite a long time, is iron, normal iron.
Where is fuel cell technology right now in comparison where the world needs it?
Yeah. Who needs it? The world. This is now a big question. The world needs it. What does the world need? I mean, this is maybe the first question. The world needs the clean, efficient, and with clean, efficient energy supply. And the hydrogen fuel cell is one part of this. It's not the only one, because you start with the wind or with the solar. And anyway, also in the conference which we are attending now is quite many talks into this direction, electrochemistry and photocatalytic water splitting and such stuff. So there is a chain of technologies. But what we need is a reliable energy supply with low impact on the environment. And hydrogen and fuel cells are part of it. And what Does the world need? I can't say. But what the people expect is simply inexpensive energy everywhere. Yeah, and that's difficult. That's difficult with a new technology. First of all, the technology is new. Second of all, we have to go away from the fossil fuels. And the fossil fuels are there free of charge, so it won't get cheaper.
Is it possible with hydrogen?
Cheaper? No. No, it's not possible. It's anyway quite surprising how inexpensive it is already for me. It seems that, I mean, the question is how much energy we need. I mean, if you need for yourself to drive a car which has 3 tons, then you need a certain amount of energy to move a car with 3 tons. The matter is, do you need a car with 3 tons? Maybe 600 kilograms would be enough. So what do we need? Do we need cars with 3 tons? But when you look on the street, obviously we need. So I can't answer this question. What do we need? I can only say we develop technology which are more advanced, which are higher efficient, which have lower emissions than the existing one. This is the goal. At the end, the consumer decides how the technology is used.
What are the major challenges you face in developing this technology?
Yeah, the major challenge is, of course, the support, funding. Funding is a major challenge for us all the time over the last 20, 30 years. But because of, I mean, even now when there is a hype like it is now, everybody speaks of investing a lot of money into hydrogen. If it is done or not, we will see soon. But this is invested in purchasing technology. This is not in research. Now the money is not invested in research. Of course, somehow understandable, because if you invest now in research, the result will be much later. So people want to buy. I would say, don't forget the research, because at the end, it depends on the quality of the quality of the technology depends on the research. And all what is available now is available because somebody invested quite a lot of money in the past. And if we don't continue this, we won't get the technology we need at the end of the day. But of course, now the hype is mainly in really using, going into the street with it. This has not much to do with research. This is simply purchasing, buying, building hydrogen stations is required, but it's a business of the industry. Honestly speaking, not quite understandable why they should not pay it themselves. Why should the public hand pay it? Because gasoline station is also not the business of the taxpayers' money. So it should also be there. But of course, you can start with this. Maybe you need some incentives to start it. But you should not forget that at the end, the companies will make profit, and it is the profit of the private hand. And
what do you see as the most promising advancements and innovations in this field, especially fuel cell technology?
Yeah, I mean, the question is on which level we are moving around. Do we move around on the system level where we purchase cars or power plants, or do we go down to the basic research where we try to replace the noble metals by non-noble metals, where we try to invent new cells with a different operating temperature, which is all an evolution which takes years and decades. And of course, even their breakthrough are happening. But at the end, this is on the research level. I mean, what comes to the customer is how big is the car, how many kilowatt you have, how fast you accelerate. That's what the customer wants to know. So it's a huge area. It's a huge area. I mean, what was in the last years, let's say on the global scene? In the global scene, the big breakthroughs were, for example, when the first time a company sold a fuel cell car. Fuel cell cars are around for decades. That's an old story. Even in Graz, Professor Kordes drove 1970 a fuel cell car, and then companies and so on, and prototyping. You saw all around the world, but that's not the issue. The issue, if you go there and sell it to a family with small kids, that's an issue, and that's a big thing. And this happened 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, or already as first time. So that's a big step. But because there are hundreds of fuel cell cars in the street, so it's not so big thing for the public, I think, but that's the big thing. Because the other things you rent, you're not even allowed to open the fuel cell, you're not allowed to do anything. Mm-hmm. And when you start selling, then it's done. Then you can do what you want.
You have very grounded opinion on and realistic opinion on hydrogen. So where is the science now in terms of getting to $2 per kilogram green hydrogen?
The cost goals are terribly low. This is terribly low. I mean, yes, I guess you can reach that, but who pays it the way to go there? I mean, you can reach that. I mean, when you speak about $2, then at the end you will have, I mean, there will be the big part of this hydrogen should and will come from solar and wind. So you produce first electricity and then you go to the hydrogen. And then how much can the electricity cost for this? And we are there in the range of 1 to 2 cents, 1 to 2 cents per kilowatt hour. And then you have to think where you can do this. I mean, you have to go at some places where there's really a lot of wind, really a lot of sun. And then maybe you can reach these goals for 1 to 2 cents per kilowatt hours. And then you are sitting somewhere in the desert or on the coast. And then you have to bring, like now also the oil, you have to bring the energy to your industry or to your customer. This is still a challenge, to do this. But I would say it's possible. It's possible. The question is who starts it, who will pay for it for the start, because it will not start with $2. It will start with very much higher prices to build all this up. Somebody has to pay it. Somebody has to invest a lot of money. And then you maybe build up this chain and then you have it. And then still you have the question, how do you transport this huge amount of energy? And there we come in again. Yeah.
So two questions, but I will continue in the context of your comment. Hydrogen storage. Is there a solution? Is there a promising technology coming up?
Storage or transport?
Both.
Yeah. I mean, I just had a chance to visit Japan a few weeks ago, and for them it's quite a challenge. I mean, if you're an island that needs so much energy like Japan does, then you have to think about how to get this energy. And best would be hydrogen. They would love to bring the hydrogen, but it's not so easy to transport on the ship. So there is no way to transport it in the pressurized way. So you have to cool it down, to liquefy it. And that's already one option. And they already have built a ship for liquefying and going with it to Australia. I wonder about that. I mean, you need so much energy to cool it down. Yeah, that's the way. I mean, we use nowadays LNG, liquid natural gas. So you go a little bit deeper, but it's 90 degrees deeper. It is costing you a lot of energy. I would say very doubtful about this way, but that's an option, and which is also followed by several industrial groups. What comes the next? The second big option is ammonia. Ammonia. I also doubt ammonia. as ammonia is now a simple option because ammonia is there. We have a lot of ammonia all everywhere in the world, but it's this also here. First of all, it's an inefficient process to produce ammonia. You need huge centralized plants, and then you have a gas which is toxic, which causes panic when it is released. Also, not a great option. And then come other, so these are already the two main options. Then there, which are more or less available. And then there are others, methanol. I don't believe there should be no carbon contained. We should go away from the carbon containing fuels. So no way, all these syn fuels. I mean, we are not using so much CH4, the natural gas, simply by flaring it. Why to produce now an artificial natural gas? No. And then comes this LOHC, liquid organic hydrogen carrier. This is interesting, but let's say not solved yet. No technical solution available, which would really fit the requirements. I would say hopefully something appears, but at the moment, not good enough. And then comes what we are doing also is this iron. Simply go to metals, produce a product which is very energy intensive and carry this around. And this seems to be quite strange in the beginning. But when you calculate it and when you see how easy it is, I mean, to transport iron, we do anyway, all the day, everywhere. Then you have to see how to charge it and how to discharge it. Yeah, and you have to have a closer look. And we are doing this. That's one of our research focus. So we are looking at this.
How do you solve the heat release problem?
No, you live with it. I mean, you are far away from this inefficiency like liquid hydrogen. So, I mean, of course, it would be good if you can store the heat, but at the end, you need a high temperature to reduce the iron oxide. Then you cool it down, then you transport it, and then you need again some temperature to oxidize it and produce the hydrogen. So when you are far away, then you have to live with it that you really cannot care about the heat. But altogether, I would say you are still far better than if you liquefy it. 1/3 of the energy content of the hydrogen is used to liquefy it. 1/3. Yeah, you're far away from that.
So for me, it's a debate, and actually, it was a big question for me. Why doesn't the market use that method instead of liquefying?
Sorry?
The method with metal hydride.
No, we are not making metal hydride. Sorry, this is different. As we really use iron.
Oh.
Iron. I mean, we use special form and so on, but it's really simply iron. Metal hydride is simply very heavy and very expensive. It's very expensive. So you cannot compare to simply iron. Iron is what you bring to the steel industry. You have tankers full of iron everywhere. No, it's not that. It's really iron as energy carrier. Not as, I mean, you also have to produce a special iron at the end, but this you can reuse. You use it again and again. And metal hydride is, of course, you bring the hydrogen into a metal hydride and store it as hydrogen, which is very interesting, but up to now, far away of the commercial use. I mean, too expensive. Also, the storage energy density is very low. I mean, we speak in the range of 1 to 2%, which is still, I would say, maybe acceptable if the material is cheap, but it's not cheap. So if you store 1 kilogram hydrogen, you need 100 kilograms of expensive material. Then it's not the way to go. No, I don't think the metal hydride storage has its applications, special niche markets and whatever. And maybe in future you find some better ones. At the moment, it's far away.
Going back to Austria and Germany, How do you see the situation with hydrogen developing over there?
At the moment, very positive. I mean, high interest, a lot of interest. And of course, because we have goals, net zero emission, we all know if we want to reach these goals or at least come close to it, we have to change the system. We have to change the system. And there are not so many options there. So it won't work without it. It simply won't work. Because if you go really into renewable electricity, you will come to the point where you have to store your electricity. If you really want to replace the heat engine, then you will need fuel cells and hydrogen. So everybody knows, and the goals are clear, they are signed, we have this duty to go there, we have it on European level, and we have it on Austrian level, the government has agreed to all this. So, yeah, let's do it.
How do you envision the future of fuel cell technology?
I mean, what I see is that it's an evolution. I mean, it gets better every year. Let's say, I would say in this research field, I'm now more than 20 years, and unbelievable things happened. 20 years ago, I would say the general engineer said this will never reach the market. Not at all in a fuel cell car, no way. And there's something big has to happen, otherwise you have no way. And what was shown is there was no revolution. It was only evolution. It was evolution over the last 25 years. And I would say a fuel cell car today is as good as a piston engine car. It's not as cheap, but it is as good, I would say. So you can build it already, but of course, not at the price of a piston engine car. So it will go on like this, I would say. And there is, as it was shown in the past, it's not necessary to revolutionize this, no, because I would say it's enough like it goes. The efficiency will increase, the noble metal content will decrease, thereby the costs will decrease, the mass manufacturing of components will decrease the costs further. I think it's quite a bright future. It's for the fuel cell there. And then there is the hydrogen. I mean, hydrogen is a commodity. You can purchase it already today. I mean, hydrogen is, I mean, I should not say this, but for the production of hydrogen, 2% of the global CO2 emissions are emitted for the production of hydrogen nowadays. 2%. So much hydrogen is produced. But of course, all of fossil fuels, which has to be replaced because hydrogen is used a lot. Ammonia, fertilizer industry, a lot. So it is there. You only have to use it, and have to use it means at the end you have to pay it.
With your answers, you're just getting more questions to my head. So fuel cells, China versus Europe versus the world.
That's political issues. I mean, as you can see, I mean, here in Europe, we are purchasing and using so much Chinese hardware in every sector. And especially a challenge is I would say, the battery-driven electric car. I mean, where the batteries don't come in from China, as we see now. So it would be very important to keep this core technology, so to develop also the core technology in Europe. But as we have seen in the past, it's cheaper to purchase it. It's cheaper because research is expensive. Research costs quite a lot of money simply, and it's easier to somebody else is doing it. Yeah, I mean, and I would say for the fuel cell, the race is open. For the battery, it's much more difficult. I mean, and the battery car is now standing in front of us. So others will give this answer, but it's quite a challenge. And for the fuel cell car, the race is open. I mean, but of course, China is investing a lot.
And lastly, how big will hydrogen be in the energy mix of the future?
That is an open question. I mean, the question can only be answered: how serious do we take our responsibilities to the environment? If we take it serious and if we say we have to go to zero emission or come close to it, then we will have a big part of hydrogen. At the moment, we have the discussion that we say, oh, the piston engine should not be cancelled. That means, okay, I understand arguments, but it means at the end we give up. At the end we give up. We say simply, let's go on like it is. We go with diesel and gasoline, and that's it. Then there is no hydrogen. Or I mean, there will be niche markets. There are niche markets in logistic and in private use, and also for the industry when people demand CO2-free products. But at the end, we can see the discussion now going around, and I cannot give you a number for that, but I would say this depends very much if we take it serious to protect our environment or not, because then there is the demand. I don't even see making sense in introducing a new energy carrier only for the reason of introducing it. There must be demand for it. And the demand comes when you say you have to be CO2 free, you have to have no local emissions, you have a framework, then the demand comes up, and then you have the solution. Otherwise, it doesn't work. It won't work. And this is a political decision. And of course, maybe also a decision of the consumer, if the consumer is ready to pay for so-called clean products or green products. But this will be decided about how much hydrogen. Not a very satisfying answer, maybe, but I would say that this is too difficult now.
Very clear. Viktor, thank you for being my guest today.
Please, please. It was my pleasure.